Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Have you ever walked into a crowded room and felt like an angry face or a happy smile just popped right out at you? Scientists have long told us that our brains are hardwired by evolution to spot these emotional signals faster than anything else. But is that actually true? Or are we being tricked by our own eyes? For decades, many researchers believed in something called the threat advantage hypothesis. It suggests that our brains are practically programmed to find angry, scary faces in a crowd because spotting a threat quickly was a matter of life and death for our ancestors. Later on, others argued that happy faces actually have the upper hand. We see lots of happy faces. So maybe our brains just got really good at spotting them, but recent research suggests that all these fancy evolutionary theories might be looking at the wrong thing entirely. A team of researchers decided to run a series of experiments to see if this supposed motion detector in our brains is actually just a simple filter for visual clutter. They used photos of real actors making expressions, but they did something nobody had really done before. They measured exactly how much the face changed when it moved from neutral to emotional. Think of it like adjusting the brightness or contrast settings on a photo. If a big cheesy smile has a lot of teeth showing, that creates a bright high contrast blob in the middle of the face that is physically easier for your eyes to lock onto. When they showed participants full intensity, unedited photos, the results looked like they supported the old theories. People were faster at spotting the happy face. But when the researchers lowered the intensity and carefully matched the expressions so that the happy face and the angry face were physically just as visually complex, the magic disappeared. Suddenly, the emotion didn't matter at all. People weren't better at finding happiness or anger anymore. It turns out that when you level the playing field by removing the physical visual advantages, the emotion itself stops having any special power to grab your attention. This is a huge deal for psychology. It means that what we thought was a deep biological shortcut for reading people's emotions is actually just our eyes being drawn to high contrast, weird shapes. If your face makes a big, bright, toothy expression, your brain notices it because it is physically distinct from the boring, neutral faces around it. It is not because your brain is doing some magical socio-emotional calculation. The research team used some really cool math to prove this. They looked at how much the facial mesh moved from the starting point of a neutral face. They found that if you map out that change, you can predict how fast someone will find the face far better than by just knowing if it is an angry or happy expression. This is like saying you can predict how fast someone will find a red ball in a room full of gray ones just by measuring the color brightness, rather than caring about whether the ball is a toy or a piece of fruit. So, what does this mean for us in the real world? It suggests that we should stop thinking of our attentional system as an emotion expert. Instead, it is more like a highly efficient search engine that prioritizes physical contrast. If you are designing buttons, websites, or anything that needs to grab human attention, you don't necessarily need to rely on emotional imagery. You just need to focus on what creates the most visual pop. Of course, this study does have its limits. It relied on photos, even if they were very high-quality ones. And people were looking at screens. It would be amazing to see if this holds up in real, messy, three-dimensional life where people are moving and talking. Future research might also look at how our personal experiences change the way we filter visual info. Just because the brain is a machine that likes contrast, it doesn't mean we don't add layers of meaning to those faces later. This study really forces us to be more cautious when we read about neuroscience findings that claim we have evolved special brain modules for everything. Sometimes the answer is just simple physics hiding under a fancy disguise. Thanks for hanging out in the Mind Lab today. If you enjoyed this dive into how our senses actually work, hit that like button, leave a comment with your thoughts on whether you think we are just biological search engines, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an update. See you next time.